Hey guys, it's General D here. Welcome back to the online YouTube tutorial series. A series on video editing where we get to break it down in the simplest and easiest way for anyone and everyone to understand. Last 2 weeks in our last tutorial, we got introduced to Premiere Pro, the interface and the basics of Premiere Pro. So today we'll be dealing with After Effects, get introduced to the interface of After Effects and how to get started. So without further ado, let's hit the intro. Alright, so I'm going to open the software now. I will move from there. Remember I said After Effects is like the Photoshop of video editing. Alright, so it's not as simplified as Premiere, but then whichever way, we'll enjoy it whichever way. So without wasting time, let's get started. So these are the interface. This is what the interface looks like. So if you're opening it for the first time, yeah, you won't these are my previous works, everything I did previously. This is everything here. But if you're opening it for the first time, you see something like create new project. Alright, then this pop-up just appears. Then you can have new projects. Okay, so that's what I'm going to select now. You can have new project, you can have open project. Yeah, an open project is to open an old project. Alright, new team project, that's a collaboration. You're working with different people. Alright, that comes with the paid version, like the pro version of it. You have to pay for that specially. Okay, then open team project, the same thing as open project, but this time around it's for team. It's for a team when you're working with a team. Okay, so I'm going to open new project. Now once I click open new project, this is my interface. This is what the After Effects interface is. I don't know if it's looking similar to Premiere. I shouldn't assume first of all that those that are learning Premiere also learn After Effects, so I'll just do it like we're not taking care of Premiere Pro differently. Okay, so yeah, this is file, edit, composition, layer, effect, animation, view, window, and help. Okay, so I said in the first 2 videos, I can't remember, I think it's the second one, talking about frame rates and some things you have to do before you can start a project in After Effects. So to start any project, the first thing you need to do is to create a composition. Alright, there are several ways to create a composition, so I'll just put through them quickly. The first way is by selecting. Once you hover on this, you see it creates a new composition, so you can just select it, and once you select that, a pop-up appears also. Alright, where you can set the composition name. This time around I'm going to set it to episode 4.1. okay, that's the name I want to use. Okay, fine. I started recording initially and I named it as episode 4, so let me just change it to episode 4.1. Alright, then you can see basic. You have basic, you have advanced, you have 3D render, but for now we stick with basics. Alright, so presets. Your preset is like, okay, After Effects comes with its own preset. Alright, like your width, your height, your aspect ratio, composition, your frame rates. Yeah, it has its own preset. Alright, so if I select that now, I can click on the preset I want. Yeah, different presets here. These are the frame rates. You have 29.97, 25, 29.97, 25. Also have these are frame rates. Alright, then your 1080, you have 4K, you have 8K, and you can also have 720. Okay, so yeah, for now that's what we'll be dealing with you. Let's just stick with HD as a 1920 by 1080. So to select HD, I will just come here HD TV. Alright, then click 1080 29.97. Alright, so this is 1080p. Remember I said your 1080p is 1920 times 1080p. Okay, now I can come to my frame rate here. Let me leave it in 30. Let me work with 30 frames per second. Alright, remember it was when I clicked HD TV 1080 29.97, the preset was there. Okay, that's not what I clicked. HD TV 1080 29.97, preset was there, but the time I changed it to 30 frames per second, I changed to custom. That means I want to customize it myself. Okay, anything I'm missing out? Okay, pixel aspect ratio. Now you can determine how you want it to appear. I talked about this in the second episode too. Should I as we keep learning, you get used to it. You get used to it as we keep learning. Alright, don't let me talk about this now. I really do not tamper with this because the client, most clients just give you the liberty to choose whatever aspect ratio. They tell you where they want it prioritized from. that's social media, Instagram, WhatsApp status, Facebook, IGTV, you know, the rectangle or square. Yeah, this is where you're able to select with your width, with your height, and with your pixel aspect ratio. Alright, so the resolution is how I want it to show when I am playing back, when I have worked on something and I play it through, how I want it to show. Alright, so if I'm working on a full resolution, then I see it in the quality it should be. But okay, this is what it is used for. When you're viewing something in full quality, especially if you've done a lot of work on it, because of depending on the on the specs of your system, yeah, it's going to play a little slow. But to preview it fast, then most times, because of the specs of my system, alright, I'll change it to quarter. But then if you're doing something very simple, you don't change the quarter. Now start time code. This is the time you want it to start. This is the time you want it to start recording. Yeah, that's the set time you want to indicate you should start recording. Alright, maybe you don't understand that. Let's carry on. Duration is how long you want your work to be. For now, it's 10 seconds. Alright, if I select it, I can change my duration. This first is 0 is the number of frames. Okay, this 10 is the number of seconds. Next 0 is the number of minutes, and this is 0 is the number of hours. Alright, so yeah, now it's set to what? It's set to 10 seconds. Alright, let me just brief through this and then we'll get into the main work. And I can select my background color, how I want my background to appear. Okay, you know what I mean now. So let me leave it as black for now. Then I select OK. Then once I'm done, alright, once I've done my composition name, my width and height, my aspect ratio, my pixel aspect ratio, then my duration, I can just click OK. So once you do that, this is my timeline. What you see here is my timeline. It's not finished loading, that's why it's appearing this way. So this is my timeline. This is where I do all of the work. Alright, whatever layer, whatever footage, whatever picture or music I am importing, this is where it's going to appear. Alright, so this is my timeline. And remember, we set the background color of the composition to black. Okay, if you want to change it now, the shortcut for opening the composition settings is Ctrl K. Alright, or you can just come to composition and then composition settings, but the shortcut is Ctrl K. Alright, so we all know that when we get used to using shortcuts, our work is going to get faster, definitely. Alright, so I want to change the background color and I use Ctrl K. And I can come here, select the color, then change it to white. If I change it to red, you can see it's already showing on the background color. Alright, so let me just leave it as black. Leave it as black. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so that's one way to create a composition. Alright, so I'm going to Ctrl Z. Now the composition is created. Another way to create a composition, the shortcut for creating a composition is Ctrl N. Remember I said to open composition settings, Ctrl K. To create the composition, Ctrl N. Alright, so I'm going to click Ctrl N now, and the same pop-up that appeared when I selected on the screen the other time on create new composition appears now. So I'm going to change it to episode 4.1 again. And then all the settings, if you go back, all the settings are already there because I've already done it before. 1920, 1080, 30 frames per second, then duration 10. Alright, so that's that. Then the third way, I will skip it for now. I'll skip the third way for now. Okay, so yeah, first things first, creating a composition. Remember I said before you can work on anything, before you start any project, whatever project you're working on has to be in a composition. So you have to set the settings. You have to make the settings of your composition before you start anything. The settings of your composition is dependent on the kind of project you want to work on. As I already said, what it's going to be optimized for, what platform you're going to post it. Alright, but generally just use 1920, 1080. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. If I go with my composition settings, Ctrl K. Now if I change this to 1000, I just select on it and I press 1000. Okay, before I do that, if this lock aspect ratio to 1:1, some of you, okay, I think, thank God I'm mentioning this, if you're opening it for the first time, I think your aspect ratio should be locked such that if you change either your width or your height, it's going to change alongside the other parameter. For example, if I put 500 now, you see 500 has changed I just pressed it in one, but it changed in the order. But if I unlock it, I can change them independently. Alright, and I can put 1000 here. Okay, for example, if I'm working on 1920 1080, yeah, and I lock it and I want to change it to 1000, you can discover that it's changing with respect to my pixel aspect ratio. Alright, so if you let's try this. I was on 1920 1080 before, yeah. Let me quickly do this for those that are mathematics inclined. 1920 1080. I want you to see how it gets the pixel aspect ratio 1.78, and this 1.78 here. So 1920 divided by 1080 is give me 1.77. That's 1.78 approximately. Alright, so if I change this to 1000, remember I said it's going to change according to your pixel aspect ratio. If I change it to 1000 and I open my calculator again, so I do 1000 divided by 562, alright, you're going to get 1.78 approximately. Alright, so you just change according to your pixel aspect ratio. I'm mentioning that because this is so important. Not every client is going to not every client is going to give you the liberty. Alright, sometimes they specify what you want, and you must be able to do that first before you can work on anything. And if you don't set this first, imagine I start working on a let me unlock this, on a 1920 1080. Alright, this is what it looks like. This is how big it looks like. But then if my client later mentions that doesn't want 1920 1080, he or she wants 1000, it's going to look like square. So everything I've done, it's either is out of the borders or above the borders. So now I have to start adjusting everything. That's why your aspect ratio is important. That's one of the first things you do. Okay. Alright, so let's continue. Remember, you're working on motion graphics or whatever it is you're working on. You have to import footages. I think the next thing we should do now, to import footages, to import a picture, a video, or a sound or music. Alright, there are three ways to do that. The first way is by coming to File, yeah, click on File, go to Import, then click on File. Alright, then it opens I don't know why that is happening. It opens your File Explorer. Okay, then you can select it and click on Import. Then whatever it is you want to import shows up in your project panel. Alright, so there are several panels when you are working. I think I should have mentioned this before importing, but since I mentioned import now, let me mention the panels. Now this is your project panel. Alright, this is where all your pictures or videos, music or sound you are working with, this is where it shows. Alright, and your whatever composition you create, this is where it shows also. So this is the project panel. Now this is your effects panel. Alright, your effects control panel. Your effect control panel is such that when you apply an effect to a layer in your timeline, alright, you can control the parameters of that effect using this effect control panel. Okay, that's that. This is your composition panel. This is like your TV. Alright, whatever you're working on in your timeline shows in your composition panel. Alright, this is your layer panel. It just isolates that layer alone. Let's say you want to work on something specific. Maybe you want to erase something on that layer, you want to paint something, you want to crop something out. This is where it works. So you just isolate the layer. Okay, what I mean is that in your timeline, for example, this is your timeline. It's your timeline panel. Alright, so this is where you organize all your layers, everything you have brought in. This is where it is. Okay, let me show you now. I've imported that clip. Now I want to start working on it. What I will do is I can drag it or drag it to your timeline. Alright, and drop it there. Is that clear? Let me do it again. You're going to drag it from your project panel to your timeline and drop it there. Right, hold on, let me be sure I am recording. Okay, yes I am. So you're going to drag it from your project panel to your timeline. Okay, now you dragged it into your timeline. It is shown in your composition panel. The reason you have this black bars, this is the original picture. The reason you have this black bars is because, let me see, if I select this and me see if it will show me here. Okay, it doesn't. So let me go without opening it yet. No, okay. Control I to import. I want to show you something. This is what we imported here. So I want to check the properties of this image that we imported. Please don't waste my time. So properties. Now you're going to see something. Details. Your width is 1280 and your height is 720. But in the composition we are working with, yeah, our width, our width is 1920, our height is 1080. Now if I change it to what did I call it, 1280, I mean the size of the picture, and 720, you discover now that it fits in perfectly. Now the black bar is gone. So the size of our picture is the size of our composition now. The size of our composition is the size of our picture. Alright, so I think I'm going to leave it this way because of this picture. I talked about your effect controls panel. Now when you want to add an effect, you select your layer. Okay, make sure your layer is selected, and now you do that, you just come on it and click it, it gets selected. How do you know it's selected? When it's not selected, it's not highlighted, but so you can just come on your screen, on your composition panel, and click it, then get selected, and this outlines outside of it shows. Okay, then I can just come, I selected my layer, go to effects, and these are all the effects that I can apply. Okay, some come with After Effects, some do not come with After Effects. So I want to show you what the effect controls panel is used for. Where is blur and sharpen? Let me quickly apply camera lens blur. Alright, so you can see it has blurred out a bit. Now the effects I applied is in effect controls panel. Okay, the amount of blur I have is 5. So if I change it to, just watch the screen as I'm changing the parameters. If I change it to 0, all the blur disappears. Yeah, if I change it to 25, the blur increases. Alright, it took time to load because of how heavy this camera lens block can be. Because that's what the effect control panel is used for. Just use that to explain. Alright, yeah, you have your effects and presets, you have your align, you have your characters and panels you can have. You have paragraph, you have info, you have tracker. Right, the effect and presets panel, yeah, this panel right here is what you get when you click here and use this. I don't like clicking this because it takes time to load. Once you click it, starts behaving somehow. Alright, so instead of doing that, there's a plugin that I would advise everyone learning After Effects, everyone using After Effects, not only learning now, to have, and it's called FX Console. That's Effects Console by Video Copilot. Alright, so what it does is once you can select your layer, just press Ctrl space bar. Alright, and it opens this pop-up, so you can type whatever effect you want. So if I type camera lens blur and click on it, that's all. Okay, that's all I need to do. But for example, if you are working After Effects for the first time, because you do not know the name of the layers, of the effects, now you might not be able to do this. But as you get used to it, it's something you should definitely have. Okay, so that's that. Now talking about your panels. Okay, for example, these are all the panels that can show up. Now all the ones that are selected are the ones I can see. All right, your align, this is align here. Your character, this is character here. Your info, info should be okay down here. Okay, so all the ones that are selected are the ones I can see. For example, effect controls panel, I do not want to see it. I don't know, for a reason I don't want to see it, so I can just close it. Now only my project panel is showing. Alright, so if I want to see it back, you see it was selected before, now it's not selected again, so I can just mark it. So if you do not see a panel initially, that is all you have to do. Just go to window rather, then select it. If not selected, then you see it. Alright, so that's what I think for panels, that's about all. Okay, you see quite a number of things there. All these ones you have seen, talk about them as we keep working. Alright, but for this, I'm going to tools soon, but let me just show you what this is. This is to zoom in, zoom out, reduce the size, increase it to 300, maybe because I want to work on a particular detail. I want to see if this pro and the orange aligns well, and just increase the size. But if I click on F, if I select this and I click F, it's going to fit up to, it's going to highlight fit up to 100. Yeah, all right, I can just click on it and it fits in perfectly into my composition screen. Okay, so remember the duration of our timeline is 10 seconds. All right, this is your time code. Remember, we set it to start from start time code 0 all through. All right, so that's what we're working with here. Yeah, so it's 10 seconds. So if I scroll through it, I'll just select it and move on my timeline. I can just go to any point I want on my timeline. Yeah, now the ending is 10, so it's going to show me as 9:29. all right, because the moment I move one more frame, it's going to change to 10 seconds. It's 9 seconds 29 frames now. Remember, we're working with 30 frames per second. All right, so it's 9 seconds 29 frames now. So the moment I move forward, that's one frame. By one frame is going to change to 10 seconds. All right. Okay, so what else? So if you want to go to a particular second, if you can select it, you can just come here, select this, then your second, you can just, I want to go to 7 seconds, that's 07, and my cursor goes through 7 seconds. All right, then if you want to work on a particular detail, I don't know, but maybe there's something in a particular frame you want to correct or you want to work on. Yeah, you can press either plus or minus to zoom in or zoom out on your timeline. You can just come here and drag it up or drag it down. So when you're going this way, this is plus. When you're going this way, this is minus. Check it out. I'm pressing plus now, increasing. Pressing minus is going down. So when you have pressed plus, now you can see this is 6 seconds. This is 7 seconds. Let's say you want to go to 5 seconds. You can just drag it and move back. Now I'm going to 1. Then you're on 0. This is 1. All right. So yeah, I think that's that. So let's talk about the tools quickly. I don't know how long we've used in the video already. 21 minutes, my god. So let's talk about the tools already. The tools might be the one to take time a bit, but yeah, it's important we know them. Without the tools, you can't do anything in After Effects, basically. Okay, so now this is your selection tool. The shortcut is V. A selection tool is basically used to select. Okay, remember I said if you want to select a layer, just go on that layer and click it, or you can just click out of it to deselect it, or use Ctrl and select on it to deselect it. To select a layer, again, I'm going to repeat myself. You click on it, you can just go to an empty space within your timeline, then select on it, or you can select on it and to deselect it, you Ctrl select, deselect it, or you can just come here and select. All right, that's what your selection tool is. And selection tool is used to set positions. Okay, so random positions, now not to be specific. So I've selected on this layer. Now to move it, maybe I don't want it where it is. It's only your selection tool that can do this. Okay, maybe I want it here. Maybe it's only this part I want to show. Now I can use my selection tool to drag it to have only this part showing. Alright, so that's what the selection tool is used for. Then next tool is your hand tool. Your hand tool is to move. I said the first time that if you want to work on some details, you want to enlarge a particular portion. If I change it to 100, okay, let me see. Let's say this is where I want to work on. Yeah, this particular P. Okay, now if I change it to 100, the P is not going to show. So I just change to my hand tool, and the shortcut is H. All right, this is my hand tool. The shortcut is H, and I can just move it wherever I want. All right, so I can work where I want to work. That's what your hand tool is used for. Okay, so I'm going back to my selection tool. Shortcut is V. I press F and select, and it opens up. All right, then zoom tool. Yeah, select on it. Select that particular point. I'm still working on P. I want to select on it's going to zoom. Select on it's going to zoom again. Select on it's going to zoom in again. All right, so that's what your selection tool is used for. That's what your zoom tool is used for. All right, so I'm going back to selection tool. Then F. Then the next tool is your rotation tool. Shortcut for rotation is W. You click on W. You can see it once you over, on that tool. Do this, you see Z. Do this, you see H. And selection tool, your rotation tool, you see W. So what it does is basically rotate your layer. All right, there are other ways to do this, but you can rotate your layer. So that's what your rotation tool is for, basically. All right, next tool is your camera tool. I'm going to leave it for now. Next one now, your camera tool is C. Shortcut. Next tool is your anchor point tool, and that's Y. So once you click on Y, your anchor point, you change this to your anchor point tool. So what your anchor point tool is to okay, remember for your rotation tool, when you are rotating, it feels like, I don't know if you notice, but this particular point feels like the center, or is the center. Okay, it's rotating along the axis of the center. So if I rotate it, it's going to rotate treating that point as the center. Okay, so what your anchor point tool does is to change what you want After Effects, the software, to see as the center. So if I click on Y, I can select this point, just select this point, and let me drag it to this end and move it here. So now this is your center. This is like if you move it, if you rotate, it's going to be rotating along that axis. This is what I mean. Change back to your rotation tool now. That's W. Okay, rotation tool W. Then I now rotate it. Watch this. Now it's rotating along that point. Don't know if you get, it's rotating along that corner. Now let me change it back to the center. Now your anchor point is in the center again. Alright, and if I rotate it, rotating along the center. But if you move your anchor point to another corner, it's going to rotate along that corner. Alright, so let me see. Y, let me shift it here this time around. Then using my rotation tool, I rotate it. Now it's rotating around the corner again. So that's what your anchor point tool, just to set the center, to set the anchor of the layer. Yeah, I think that works better. Okay, so next tool is your rectangle tool. Your rectangle tool can be used for two things. One, to create shapes. Alright, so it's basically your shape tool. The shortcut is Q. Shortcut is Q. Now if you select Q, it's going to change to your rectangle tool. You select Q again, going to change to your rounded rectangle tool. Select Q again, going to change to your ellipse tool. Select Q again, polygon. Alright, star, and going back to your rectangle. How do you see that? Just hold it for long. Select it. Any tool that you see this drop down means you can select multiple effects on that tool. Alright, so you hold it for long, then it brings your options out. So the reason I was pressing Q, because the more you keep pressing Q, alright, it keeps changing. Alright, so let me deal with the rectangle tool. Now your rectangle tool can serve as two things. It can be used to create shapes, it can be used to create masks. Alright, so if I want to create any shape, first of all, I must make sure my layer is not selected. Because if my layer is selected, it's going to create it as a mask. Okay, what a mask is basically to crop out a particular part. Once you select that part, you're going to crop it out. Okay, so let me show you what the mask does. To select, my layer is selected now. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but if I deselect my layer, this appears, fill and stroke. So it's going to be like I'm creating a rectangle. But if I deselect my layer, if I select my layer, it disappears, because it knows I want to create a mask now. Okay, so I've selected that layer, and if I come here, okay, then let me do that, and I click on whatever point and drag it. For example, I want to crop out Premiere. That is what creating a mask is. Okay, let me show you something else. Let me change the tool to an ellipse tool. Alright, but I still want to create a mask with an ellipse tool. So what I do is the same thing I do for the rectangle tool. Just select it, and whatever point you want, just over till you get to that point, and release your hand. Now it's creating like a sphere or something. Alright, but if you want to create a perfect circle, as you select it, make sure your hand remains on selection. As you select it and you're moving, hold shift down. Alright, so no matter where you go, it's going to create a perfect circle. Hold shift down, but the moment you move your hand from shift, it's going to create a busy circle. That's a sphere or an ellipse or something. But once you hold shift down, it's going to create a perfect circle. Alright, so that's what creating a mask is. Now let me leave to create a normal shape. Let me go back to my rectangle tool. Now remember I said to deselect, you do what? Control select, or you click somewhere empty. Now this has popped up again. What this is the color your rectangle carries. Okay, so I'm going to change the color to white. All right, I'm going to change the color of your stroke. Your stroke is the edges of the rectangle. I'm going to change it to red. So this is what it looks like when I create my shape, my rectangle. See, the moment I create, the way I did this is creating a mask. The way I created a mask, that's the way I don't know why it's slow. I think something, what was loading that time is slowing it down. Maybe DVD drive or something. Let me do it again. My shape should disappear. Come on. I don't know why it's being so slow. Okay, again, the way I did it is select it, then drag it to whatever point you want. Alright, so if I drag it like this without holding shift, it's going to create a random shape with a random width and a random height. But if I hold down perfectly, it's going to keep maintaining that what's it called, that size. The word is not size. I can't remember what the word I was going to use. Alright, but you get me. It makes it perfect. Not like the other ones, not perfect. I know you get what I'm saying. I don't know if this is a square. Does it look like a square? I'm not quite sure. Okay, it says a square. Maybe it is. Maybe it creates a perfect square. Alright, so that's that. Now if I do my remember the moment I created that shape, alright, the layer it creates another layer. Alright, let me change it to ellipse now. If I create an ellipse tool and select my layer so it pops up again, if I create an ellipse tool, hold down shift, and create a perfect circle. Alright, hold down shift and draw it, creates a perfect circle. Okay, so now it has created a new layer. The moment I draw it, has created a new layer. So with your layer still selected, you can change the feel and the stroke. Okay, I want it to be black. Now I can just select it and change the color. I want it to be blue. I can just come here and change it to blue. But then that's for my feel. Okay, now my stroke is 2. Okay, and now I can increase it. How I did that is just select it, leave your hand on it. Don't select and remove your hand. If you select and remove your hand, to be like you want to change the parameters, you know what the parameters you want to use, and you just want to type it yourself. Alright, so you select it and you hold it down. So for After Effects, once you select something like that, you do this a lot, and you move it to the right, you're increasing it. Once you select and move to the left, you're reducing it. Alright, so I want to increase my stroke, I do this. I want to reduce my stroke to 0, I do this. Okay, so it doesn't have any stroke now. I would say perfect, it's all blue. That's my feel and my stroke. Alright, it's all blue. So that's what your shape tool is for, your rectangle tool, as it shows there. The next tool is your pen tool. I think I should skip. Let me skip the pen tool for now. Please permit me. Skip the pen tool for now. Okay. Then your text tool. Yeah, your text tool, as it sounds, to create text. The shortcut is Ctrl T. But once you click Ctrl T, it's going to create text. Now you can just come to your screen, your composition, alright, and select anywhere there. Okay, so I've selected that line appears. Now I can change it to I can type whatever text I want. Alright, so I've typed After Effects now. Then I can highlight the whole thing. That's using Ctrl A. Okay, and highlight the whole thing using Ctrl A. Then come here. This is my character panel. Come here and change the font I want to whatever font. Let me use Gotham. Now I've changed the font to Gotham Black. It was in radioactive before I changed to Gotham Black. Now the font size, I can increase it. Remember I said to select. Once you select it and you move right, it's going to increase. Select and you move left, it's going to decrease. Alright, so I've selected it now. Move it up. That's to my right. Alright, so my size of my font has increased now. Alright, so that is what your text tool is for. Now with your text tool, you can create multiple layers. The moment I let me do it again. I'm still selected on my text tool. Now select somewhere else. the same thing is going to happen. Once you select that, it's going to create another layer. So that's creating another layer here, and the layer is Premiere. All right, so that's how direct using the text tool is. After Effects, Premiere. Let me just delete this. Okay, so let me see if I'm recording again. All right, so the next tool is your brush tool. All right, next one is the clone stamp tool, your eraser, your auto brush tool, and your clone tool, and then your puppet tool. Okay, so let's see if it will respond faster now based on what I've done. Okay, so that's that. That's that about the introduction. Then there's something. I said After Effects is like Photoshop of video editing. Now the major thing you do in After Effects is animation. Whatever it is, I've told you After Effects cannot be used to edit video. It's not optimized for video editing. All right, so that's why sometimes when you're editing audio, you might have issues playing back. Okay, so it's not optimized for video editing at all. Now this design, you see, I designed it in After Effects because it wasn't editing per se. They're just putting layers upon layers, what Photoshop would do normally. Okay, so now for every layer there are various parameters you can vary. All right, for every layer, there are various parameters you can vary for every layer. Okay, for this layer now, I have different parameters that can vary for this layer. And for if you're not applying an effect that's independent of applying an effect, you have, let me show you what I mean. If you select this drop down, go to transform. Okay, these are the parameters you can vary by default for every layer, every kind of layer basically. Now when you get to working with 3D layers, then you can do different things with that. Okay, now anchor point. We talked about your anchor point. This anchor point you see here is basically the same thing. All right, this is what determines your anchor point. Okay, if I select on it and move it to the left, you can see where my anchor point is moving to. It's moving towards the edge. Now I'm going to drop it here. Okay, I'm going to drop it here. So that's what your anchor point is for that layer. Okay, now if I move it back, that is your position is altering. All right, it's altering the position of your layer based on the position of the anchor point. So it's basically working with the anchor point. Now what appears there, this 639 is your x axis first of all, then the next one is your y axis. The same for the position. So x axis, your y axis, your x axis, your y axis. Then the rotation is different, then your opacity is different. All right, so that's for your anchor point. Then you can change it on the y axis, move it up or move it down. Using your left axis, move it this way or move it this way, move it left or move it right. So that's what your x axis and your y axis is. So it happens for that, then the position also. So to animate your position, okay, or to change your position, I'm using Ctrl Z to undo. All right, so I can move it left for my x axis to change the position of my layer, move it right to change the position of my layer. Remember, the first thing one of the things I talked about using selection tool is you can select V, then just drag it and move it. Discover that as I am moving it, my position is changing. My position here is changing as I'm moving it. All right, so that's what one of the things the selection tool can be used for. Now watch this again. Moving it here, position is changing. Moving it to the right is increasing. It's entering negative here. You can move it up, you can move it down. All right, so that's what your position or your selection tool is used for. Okay, so that's that about position. Then your scale, if I increase it, it's going to increase proportionately. All right, at the same rate. It's going to increase at the same rate. That's your x and your y. It's going to increase at the same rate. The reason it's doing that is remember in your composition settings, when you lock aspect ratio, if you increase one, the other is going to increase. But if you unlock it, if you increase one, it's going to increase independently. All right, so I'm going to cancel it so it doesn't make any change. All right, so this pin here is going to constrain your proportions. That means it's going to lock it and it's going to increase it at the same rate. All right, but if I want to select it now I can increase X independently. Look at it, look at my screen, look at the composition panel. I can increase X axis independently. Alright, so it's stretching to your left and to your right. So if I control Z, it goes back to 100, or I can increase Y independently, stretching up or stretching down, and if it enters minus negative, it kind of flips. Alright, so up, but if it's on a 0, you probably won't see it again. Alright, let me just click on it, click on it and select 0. You won't see it again. You won't see it on your y-axis, you won't see it on your x-axis. The same thing if your y is on 100 and your x is on 0, you won't see it again. Okay, so that's that about your scale, increasing on x and y axis. So I can lock proportions just for locking sake. Then your rotation, the same thing your rotation tool does. Alright, you rotate it to the left, to the right. Remember, your rotation is always dependent on your anchor point. Okay, for example, let me change the anchor point to this point. Yeah, so if I rotate it now, it's going to rotate along that axis, along where your anchor point is, right? So where was it before? I think it was on 640 before. 640. Now if I rotate it now, it's going to rotate along the center. That's where your rotation tool, rotation parameter is for. Alright, then just ignore this 0 for now. Then your opacity is how bright, or the, how do I put it, the opacity of your layer. Basically, I don't know another word for opacity. How much you want, how much of it you want to show, if that's better. Now if I select 100, everything is going to show. If I select 50, it's going to show by half. Alright, and if I select 0, it's not going to show at all. If I select 20, it's going to show a bit. So the higher your number is, the more it shows. Okay, 100. So that's that. Okay, I've talked about your possibilities you can do with your transform properties, the layers, properties, the parameters you can change for every layer. Okay, now if you select a layer, yeah, now look at this. If my layer is selected, if I go to edit, there are a lot of highlights here. Alright, select all, duplicate layer, split layer. That's what it now is highlighted. You know, it's different from copy expression only and paste. Alright, because if using this not showing, using this is not highlighted. Okay, let me leave that. If you come put composition, this one is showing well. The opacity of this one kind of jobs. Same thing with layer, you can do some things there. Effects. Now if I deselect the layer, or you can see now not everything is as highlighted as before. Same thing you could when you do composition, you can't do some things, especially in layer. All right, so for you to work on any layer, don't forget that layer has to be selected. For you to work on any layer, that layer has to be selected. Remember I said with your shape tool, and as one thing you can use your pen tool to do, but I didn't mention that intentionally. All right, so for example, if you want to create a mask, you want to crop out that layer, you have to make sure using your shape tool now your layer is selected, because if you not select the layer, it's going to assume you want to create another layer using the shape. All right, so yeah, that was kind of fast, even though that's a lot of time, but it was kind of fast. So yeah, introduction to After Effects. I do not think there's anything I have not touched. I think I've tried to touch a lot of things in little time. So if you have any questions, please ask in the comment section and I'll be willing to answer. All right, so yeah, that is that for introduction to After Effects. Thank you, and see you in the next class. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you were able to follow and I hope you gained something. Alright, I also hope we're able to achieve our aim, in that we'll try to simplify it as much as we can to make sure everyone understands. Alright, so please make sure you keep practicing. Don't, if you decide to work on my page, you might be doing yourself more harm than good. Alright, so if you need to get materials online, please do so. YouTube videos or even PDFs. Please just lay you on as much materials as you can. Alright, I think that will be all. See you in the next video. Don't forget to keep it real. Peace.